What if I told you that the most powerful way to make women value you isn't through loud words, grand gestures, or flashy displays? What if the secret lies in actions so subtle, so quiet, that they speak directly to the subconscious? Imagine this. You walk into a room, and without saying a word, the atmosphere shifts. People take notice, not because you're trying to impress, but because your mere presence demands attention. Now, let's be clear. This isn't some trick or gimmick. It's the result of a way of life, a philosophy, and a mindset. This power stems from two deeply impactful disciplines, Stoicism and dark psychology. Together, they teach us how to influence, attract, and command respect by mastering ourselves first. In today's video on Stoic Blessing, I'm revealing the 10 silent actions that will make women value you in ways they won't even fully understand. These actions aren't just about attraction, they're about creating an aura of respect, admiration, and intrigue that stays with them long after you've left the room. Now, let's talk about what makes this so powerful. In a world where people are constantly seeking validation, where social media is filled with noise, and where everyone is shouting to be heard, the man who chooses to remain calm, composed, and deliberate stands out like a beacon. It's the man who doesn't chase, who doesn't need external validation, and who moves with quiet purpose that people can't help but gravitate toward. This isn't about arrogance or manipulation. It's about becoming the kind of man who values himself so deeply that others naturally follow suit. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Mastering how you react, your silence, your stillness, your controlled energy, is what sets you apart. Imagine this: a storm is raging around you. People are panicking, shouting, losing their composure. But you stand firm, calm, unmoved. You've mastered the storm within yourself, and that calmness radiates outwards. This is the essence of Stoic power and the cornerstone of these 10 silent actions. Now, why does this matter so much when it comes to making women value you? Here's the truth. Women are wired to recognize strength, not just physical strength, but emotional resilience, mental sharpness, and spiritual depth. The man who has mastered these silent actions communicates strength without ever having to say it out loud. And that's the kind of strength that women not only notice, but deeply respect and value. But before we dive into these 10 silent actions, let me set the stage for your transformation. Are you ready to commit to this path of quiet power? Here's what I want you to do right now. Drop this phrase in the comments. I master my silence, and my silence speaks volumes. This is your first step toward claiming your power. A public declaration that you're ready to rise above the noise and stand as a man of substance. And while you're at it, hit that like button if you're finding this intriguing so far. Subscribe to Stoic Blessing and turn on notifications, because this channel is all about equipping you with the tools, mindset, and philosophies to become the strongest version of yourself. Not just for others to see, but for you to be. Now let's dive into the first silent action that will make women value you on a level they've never experienced before. Number 1. The power of composure. Let's start with the foundation of silent power: composure. In a world that thrives on chaos, where people are quick to anger, quick to react, and quick to speak without thinking, composure is a rare and precious quality. It's the ability to remain calm and centered no matter what's happening around you. And here's the secret. Composure isn't just about staying cool on the surface. It's about radiating a deep inner strength that others can feel. When you master composure, you become unshakable. Imagine this scenario. You're on a date and something doesn't go as planned. The waiter messes up your order, or there's an awkward pause in the conversation. Most men would get flustered, crack a joke to fill the silence, or start apologizing profusely. But not you. You hold your ground. You remain calm, unbothered and steady. That calmness signals something profound. You're a man who isn't thrown off by minor inconveniences, a man who's in control of himself. And trust me, women notice that. Why does this work so powerfully? Because composure is a sign of self-mastery. It shows that you're not ruled by your emotions, that you don't react impulsively, and that you have the discipline to choose your responses carefully. This is a principle rooted in Stoicism. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In other words, composure is your superpower in a world that constantly tries to steal your peace. And here's where dark psychology comes into play. Composure doesn't just make you more attractive, it creates intrigue. People are naturally drawn to those they can't figure out. When you stay calm in situations where others would react, it leaves them wondering, what's going on in his mind? Why isn't he bothered? That mystery pulls them in. Think about the most iconic figures in history and fiction, the James Bonds, the Stoic warriors, the silent leaders. They all share this trait. They could be in the middle of a high-stakes situation, and yet they never lose their cool. This isn't just a personality trait, it's a skill you can develop. So how do you cultivate composure? It starts with awareness. The next time you feel your emotions rising, whether it's anger, frustration, or anxiety, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that you control your reactions, not the situation. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to respond rather than react. And here's the bonus. Composure isn't just for high-pressure situations. It shows up in the way you walk, the way you sit, the way you hold eye contact. It's in the subtle way you carry yourself with confidence and ease. Women value a man who seems unshakable, not because he's invincible, but because he's mastered himself. That's the kind of energy they respect and crave. Now let me ask you something. Do you have what it takes to become that man? If you're ready to commit to mastering composure, drop this phrase in the comments. I am calm, I am steady, I am unshakable. Let's see how many of you are serious about transforming into the silent warrior you were meant to be. And if this resonates with you, if you're starting to see the power of these silent actions, hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Stick around, because the next silent action builds directly on this foundation and takes your power to the next level. Number 2, the art of strategic listening. Now that you've begun mastering composure, let's add another layer to your silent power: strategic listening. Listening isn't just about hearing words, it's about truly understanding, observing, and responding in ways that leave a lasting impression. Most men listen to respond, few listen to truly understand. And here's the secret: the man who can master the art of strategic listening instantly stands out. Think about this. How often do people truly feel heard? In today's world, everyone is desperate to talk, to be noticed, to share their opinions. But when was the last time someone paused and made you feel like your words were the most important thing in the world? Imagine being that person for a woman, not in an obvious, eager-to-please way, but with quiet focus and intention. That's what strategic listening is all about. So, what does this look like in practice? When she's talking, you're not just hearing her words, you're watching her body language, picking up on her tone, noticing what she's not saying. You're observing the subtle shifts in her energy, the moments when she pauses, the details she emphasizes. And instead of rushing to fill the silence or offer your opinion, you give her space. You make her feel safe to express herself fully. This skill isn't just attractive, it's deeply disarming. Women are drawn to men who make them feel understood, not judged. But here's the twist. When you practice strategic listening, you're not just absorbing what she's saying. You're guiding the conversation without her even realizing it. By asking thoughtful, open-ended questions, you subtly steer the dialogue while keeping her engaged. For example, instead of asking, "Did you have a good day?" try, What was the most interesting part of your day? Questions like this show genuine curiosity and depth. Here's where dark psychology amplifies the power of this silent action. Strategic listening creates a sense of emotional intimacy. When someone feels truly heard, they begin to open up, to trust you, to feel connected on a deeper level. And the best part? You're not revealing much about yourself. You're building that connection without giving away your mystery. This balance of being open enough to understand while remaining enigmatic is incredibly magnetic. But let's not confuse this with being passive. Strategic listening isn't about being a blank slate. It's about being fully present and intentional. When she's done speaking, your responses should be measured and thoughtful. A simple nod, a brief affirmation, or even maintaining eye contact without immediately replying can say more than words ever could. The Stoic principle that underpins this is simple yet profound. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Listening is an act of strength, not submission. It shows that you're confident enough in yourself to let others take the spotlight without feeling the need to dominate. Imagine this: she's talking about her passions, her dreams, her fears, and instead of interrupting or trying to one-up her story, you give her the gift of your full attention. In that moment, you're not just a man she's talking to, you're the man who gets her, and that is unforgettable. So here's your challenge. The next time you're in a conversation, practice strategic listening. Don't think about what you're going to say next. Don't interrupt. Instead, focus entirely on understanding, not just the words, but the emotions and intentions behind them. And if you're ready to take this step, prove it. Drop this phrase in the comments right now. I listen deeply. I listen strategically. I am unforgettable. Let's see who's serious about mastering this art. If this is resonating with you, make sure to hit that like button and share this video with someone who could use this insight. Because in the next section, we're diving into one of the most powerful silent actions of all. Number 3. Mastering presence without seeking attention. Now that you've begun mastering composure and strategic listening, let's talk about something truly transformative. Mastering presence without seeking attention. This is where your silent power becomes magnetic, where you walk into a room and command respect, not by trying, but simply by being. Think about the most powerful men you've ever seen, in real life or in movies. They don't need to shout to be heard. They don't need to demand attention. They naturally draw it. This isn't magic, it's presence. And the good news is, presence is something you can cultivate. So, what does it mean to have presence? Presence is about fully occupying the moment you're in. It's about being so grounded, so sure of yourself, that your energy fills the room without you needing to say a word. It's a quiet confidence, a calm self-assurance that makes people take notice. And here's the key. It's never about seeking attention. It's about being worthy of it. Let's break this down practically. Presence starts with how you carry yourself. Your posture, your eye contact, the way you move. These are all nonverbal cues that communicate who you are before you even open your mouth. Stand tall, but not stiff. Walk with purpose, but don't rush. Make eye contact, but don't stare. These small adjustments send a powerful message. I am comfortable with myself, and I don't need external validation to prove it. But here's the deeper layer. Presence is also about where your focus is. Most people are scattered. Their minds are racing. They're checking their phones. They're worried about what others think. When you cultivate presence, you train yourself to focus entirely on the here and now. This focus is rare, and it's magnetic. When you're fully present in a conversation, the person you're with feels it. When you're fully present in a room, everyone feels it. Here's the Stoic principle that fuels this. Do every act of your life as if it were your last. This means putting your full attention and intention into everything you do. Whether you're sipping a drink, listening to someone speak, or simply sitting in silence, your presence is felt because you're fully there. Now, let's tie in dark psychology. When you master presence without seeking attention, you create a sense of intrigue. People wonder, who is this person? Why do they seem so calm, so confident, so in control? This curiosity pulls them in. You're not chasing attention, you're becoming the kind of person others naturally gravitate toward. Let me give you a scenario. You're at a social gathering, and everyone's trying to one-up each other with stories, jokes, and loud conversations. You, on the other hand, are calm, composed, and observant. You're not the loudest voice in the room, but when you do speak, people lean in to listen. Why? Because your presence has already made an impression. You've set yourself apart by not seeking the spotlight, and now the spotlight seeks you. Here's an exercise to cultivate this. The next time you're in a social setting, resist the urge to draw attention to yourself. Instead, focus entirely on being present. Notice the details around you, the energy of the room, the tone of conversations, the body language of the people nearby. Stay grounded. Speak only when you have something meaningful to say, and watch how others begin to notice and respect your energy. Now, if you're ready to master presence, let's make a declaration. Drop this phrase in the comments. I am here. I am grounded. I am unforgettable. This is your commitment to becoming a man whose presence speaks louder than words. And if this resonated with you, if you're starting to see how these silent actions can change the way you're perceived, hit that like button and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Stick around, because in the next section, we're going even deeper. Number 4. Controlled vulnerability. Now that you've begun to master presence, let's move to a concept that might surprise you: controlled vulnerability. This isn't about baring your soul to anyone who will listen. It's about showing just enough of your humanity to create trust and connection while still maintaining your mystery and strength. Done correctly, controlled vulnerability is one of the most powerful tools in your silent arsenal. Here's the truth. People, especially women, are drawn to authenticity. But there's a catch. If you're too guarded, you can come across as cold, unapproachable, or even arrogant. On the other hand, if you overshare or open up too quickly, you lose the sense of mystery that makes you intriguing. The balance lies in revealing just enough to show that you're real, while still keeping certain parts of yourself private. This is the art of controlled vulnerability. So how do you do it? First, understand that vulnerability isn't about weakness. In fact, it's the opposite. True vulnerability takes courage because it shows that you're secure enough in yourself to let someone see glimpses of your inner world. But here's the key. It must be intentional. You decide what to share, when to share it, and with whom. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're on a date and the topic of past relationships comes up. Most men either dodge the question entirely or overshare their heartbreaks. The Stoic man with controlled vulnerability takes a different approach. He might say something like, "I've had experiences that taught me a lot about what I value in a relationship." It's honest, it's grounded, but it doesn't reveal every detail. This leaves her curious, while also signaling that you've grown from your past. Controlled vulnerability also applies to how you handle mistakes or setbacks. Instead of pretending you're perfect, acknowledge your imperfections with confidence. For example, if you've made a mistake, you might say, "That's on me. I'll learn from it and do better." This kind of statement shows accountability and self-awareness, which are incredibly attractive qualities. Here's where Stoicism and dark psychology come into play. Stoicism teaches us to embrace the things we can't control and focus on our responses. Vulnerability, when controlled, shows that you're comfortable with your imperfections because they don't define you. Meanwhile, dark psychology reminds us that a touch of mystery amplifies attraction. When you reveal just enough to connect, but not enough to be fully understood, you become the puzzle they want to solve. But let me be clear, controlled vulnerability isn't a tactic to manipulate. It's a genuine expression of who you are, shared with intention and purpose. It builds trust and respect because it shows that you're confident enough to let others see your humanity without feeling the need to prove yourself. Here's an exercise for this. Think about the parts of your life you're comfortable sharing. Choose one story or experience that reveals something about your values or your growth. Practice sharing it in a way that's honest but concise, leaving space for curiosity. Then, when the moment arises naturally, share it without over-explaining or seeking validation. Now, let me ask you, are you ready to show the kind of strength that comes from being both real and intentional? If so, drop this phrase in the comments. I embrace my truth with strength and purpose. This is your declaration of mastering controlled vulnerability. And if you're finding value in these silent actions, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear these lessons. Because next, we're taking things up a notch with one of the most intriguing silent actions of all. Number 5. Being a mystery. Now that you've mastered controlled vulnerability, it's time to dive into one of the most captivating silent actions, being a mystery. If composure is the foundation and controlled vulnerability is the spark, then mystery is the magnetic pull that keeps people intrigued and wanting more. Let me ask you this. What happens when a book gives away all its secrets in the first chapter? You lose interest, right? The same is true for people. If you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, you become predictable. Predictability is the death of intrigue. Being a mystery, on the other hand, makes people think about you long after you've left the room. So, what does it mean to be a mystery? It's not about playing games or being intentionally evasive. It's about maintaining a sense of depth, showing that there's always more to you than meets the eye. It's about revealing yourself in layers, slowly, and only to those who have earned it. Here's an example. Imagine you're talking to someone and they ask about your hobbies. Most people would rattle off a long list, eager to impress. You, as a man of mystery, might say something like, "I've been into some interesting projects lately. Maybe I'll tell you about them sometime." Notice what happens here. You're not avoiding the question. You're planting a seed of curiosity. You've left them wanting to know more without giving everything away. The power of mystery also extends to your actions. Don't announce your every move or explain your decisions to everyone. Instead, let your actions speak for themselves. If you're working on a goal or a project, keep it low-key until it's ready to be unveiled. When you do reveal it, the impact will be far greater because it comes with an air of quiet confidence and accomplishment. Now let's connect this to Stoicism and dark psychology. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and to avoid seeking validation. When you cultivate mystery, you're not concerned with proving yourself or seeking approval. You're secure in who you are, and that security is incredibly attractive. Dark psychology, on the other hand, reminds us that humans are wired to seek answers. When someone can't fully figure you out, it keeps their attention locked on you, searching for clues. Being a mystery also means knowing when to step back. In conversations, resist the urge to overshare. In social settings, don't always be the one seeking attention. Sometimes, the most powerful move you can make is to observe quietly, letting your energy do the talking. This creates an aura of intrigue that people can't help but be drawn to. Here's an exercise to start cultivating this. The next time you're in a conversation, practice holding back just enough to leave room for curiosity. Instead of telling the full story, share a piece of it and let the other person ask for more. Watch how this changes the dynamic. It's subtle but incredibly effective. And here's a challenge for you. If you're ready to embrace the power of being a mystery, drop this phrase in the comments. I reveal in layers. My mystery is my strength. Let's see how many of you are committed to stepping into this energy. If this resonates with you, hit that like button and share this video with someone who could use a reminder that power isn't always loud, it's often silent. Stay tuned, because next, we're exploring a silent action that defines your self-worth and commands respect. Number 6. Boundaries and non-negotiables. Now that you've begun mastering the art of being a mystery, it's time to strengthen your core with one of the most essential silent actions: boundaries and non-negotiables. This is where your quiet power becomes unshakable, where you make it clear, without ever needing to raise your voice, that you are a man who values himself. Let's start with a simple truth. People will treat you exactly how you allow them to treat you. If you don't have clear boundaries, you'll find yourself constantly compromising, overextending, and being taken for granted. Boundaries are not just about saying no, they're about defining what you will and will not tolerate in your life. And here's the key: you don't need to explain or justify your boundaries to anyone. Your actions and demeanor should make them clear. For example, imagine someone is consistently late to meet you. Instead of getting angry or lecturing them, you simply say, "I value my time. If you can't respect it, we'll have to reschedule." No drama, no explanation, just a calm and firm statement of your boundary. This approach shows that you respect yourself, and in turn, others will respect you more. Boundaries also apply to how you invest your energy. Are you spending time with people who uplift and inspire you, or with those who drain you? Are you engaging in activities that align with your goals, or are you distracted by things that don't serve your growth? When you silently but firmly protect your energy, you send a powerful message. I value myself, and I only give my time and attention to what truly matters. Now let's talk about non-negotiables. These are the principles and values you hold that are never up for debate. Non-negotiables are what anchor you, especially in relationships. For example, if honesty is a non-negotiable for you, you make it clear through your actions that dishonesty has no place in your life. You don't need to announce it. The way you live speaks for itself. Here's where Stoicism and dark psychology come into play. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our actions, our values, our boundaries. It also reminds us that we don't need to seek approval for living in alignment with our principles. Dark psychology adds another layer. Boundaries create intrigue. When you're not easily accessible, when you don't bend to every whim or request, people begin to see you as a high-value individual. They start to respect your time, your energy, and your presence. But let me be clear, boundaries and non-negotiables are not about being rigid or inflexible. They're about knowing your worth and standing firm in it. When you set boundaries, some people may push back. That's fine. Your job is not to convince them to respect you. It's to live in a way that demands respect without a single word. Here's an exercise for you. Take out a piece of paper and write down your top 3 non-negotiables in life. These could be related to your time, your relationships, your values, whatever matters most to you. Then think about how you can communicate these non-negotiables through your actions, not just your words. And here's your challenge. If you're ready to take control of your life by setting boundaries and standing firm in your non-negotiables, drop this phrase in the comments. I protect my energy, my boundaries are my strength. This is your declaration of self-respect and personal power. If this message is resonating with you, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because next, we're moving to a silent action that's deeply connected to how you live your life. Number 7, valuing time over attention. Now that you've set firm boundaries and established your non-negotiables, it's time to focus on something even more precious than attention: your time. While most people are busy chasing likes, followers, or fleeting validation, the man who values his time above all else instantly separates himself from the crowd. This silent action isn't just about efficiency, it's about commanding respect and admiration without saying a word. Here's the harsh truth. Attention is easy to get. Anyone can post something flashy online or make a scene in public and get people to look their way. But time is finite, and how you spend it reveals your true priorities. When you demonstrate that you value your time, people instinctively begin to value you more. So how do you show that you value your time? Start with how you spend it. A man who values his time doesn't waste it on activities or people that don't align with his purpose. He doesn't scroll mindlessly on his phone or engage in endless small talk just to fill the silence. Instead, he uses his time intentionally, working on his goals, building skills, and surrounding himself with people who inspire and challenge him. For example, imagine someone invites you to an event that doesn't interest you. Instead of making excuses or going just to please them, you simply say, "Thank you, but I've got other priorities right now." No explanation, no justification. This simple response shows that you're in control of your time and that you don't feel the need to please everyone. Valuing your time also means being fully present in the moments that matter. When you're with someone, whether it's a date, a friend, or a business contact, give them your undivided attention. Put away your phone, make eye contact, and be engaged. This not only shows respect, but also communicates that you choose to invest your time intentionally. Now let's bring in Stoicism and dark psychology. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and time is the ultimate example of this. You can't control how much time you have, but you can control how you spend it. When you treat time as your most valuable resource, you stop wasting it on things that don't matter and people notice. Dark psychology amplifies this. When you're selective with your time, it creates a sense of exclusivity. People start to see your time as valuable because you treat it that way. But let me be clear, valuing your time doesn't mean being cold or dismissive. It's about being intentional. It's about showing through your actions that you have a purpose and that you won't compromise it for distractions. This quiet focus is incredibly attractive because it signals that you're a man of depth and direction. Here's an exercise to help you get started. Take a day this week and audit how you spend your time. How much of it is going toward your goals, growth, or relationships that truly matter? How much is being wasted on things that don't? Once you've identified the gaps, start making changes. Protect your time the way you would protect your most valuable asset, because that's exactly what it is. And now, I want you to make a declaration. If you're ready to take control of your time and show the world that you value yourself, drop this phrase in the comments. My time is my power, and I spend it with purpose. This is your commitment to becoming a man who uses his time wisely and intentionally. If this is resonating with you, hit that like button and share this video with someone who could use a wake-up call about the value of time. And don't go anywhere, because next, we're diving into one of the most underrated silent actions. Number 8. Mastery of silence in conversations. Now that you understand the value of your time, it's time to elevate your interactions by mastering one of the most underrated yet powerful skills: silence in conversations. Most people are afraid of silence. They rush to fill every pause, thinking that doing so makes them more engaging. But here's the truth. The man who is comfortable with silence controls the conversation without saying a word. Let's break it down. Silence isn't just the absence of words. It's a tool. When used strategically, it can create intrigue, command respect, and shift the entire dynamic of a conversation. For example, imagine someone asks you a question, and instead of immediately answering, you pause. You hold eye contact, let the silence settle for a moment, and then respond. That pause does two things. It shows you're thoughtful, and it makes your words carry more weight. Here's where most people go wrong. They equate silence with awkwardness. But the truth is, silence only becomes awkward when you let it. When you own the silence, it becomes a demonstration of confidence. It shows that you're comfortable enough with yourself to not feel the need to constantly fill the space. Let's talk about the psychological impact. When you leave space in a conversation, it gives the other person room to reveal more. Silence invites them to fill the gap, often sharing deeper thoughts and feelings than they might have otherwise. This is especially powerful in building connections. By mastering silence, you become the person people feel comfortable opening up to, because you're not just waiting for your turn to speak. You're truly present. Now let's tie this back to Stoicism and dark psychology. Stoicism teaches us to remain calm and deliberate, even in conversations. When you use silence strategically, you're practicing restraint, ensuring that your words are meaningful and purposeful. Dark psychology reminds us that silence creates tension and intrigue. It makes people curious about what you're thinking and keeps their focus locked on you. For example, imagine you're in a heated discussion. Most people would try to argue their point or interrupt to be heard. But you remain silent, listening intently, letting the other person finish. Then, when you do speak, your calm, measured response carries a weight that shifts the entire tone of the conversation. That's the power of silence. It turns you from just another voice in the room to the one voice that matters. Here's an exercise to start practicing. In your next conversation, resist the urge to fill every pause. When someone finishes speaking, count to 3 in your mind before responding. Notice how this changes the energy of the interaction. You'll find that your words carry more impact and the other person becomes more engaged. Now, let me challenge you. If you're ready to master silence as your greatest conversational tool, drop this phrase in the comments. I speak with purpose. My silence speaks louder. This is your commitment to elevating how you communicate with the world. If you're finding value in these silent actions, hit that like button and share this video with someone who could benefit from learning the power of silence. And don't go anywhere, because next, we're diving into a silent action that combines all the principles we've covered so far. Number 9. Quiet confidence in actions. Now that you've mastered the art of silence in conversations, let's take things to the next level with a silent action that transcends words entirely. Quiet confidence in actions. This is where you stop talking about what you're going to do and start letting your actions speak louder than anything you could ever say. In a world where everyone is busy making promises, seeking validation, and talking about their plans, the man who moves in silence is a rare and powerful presence. Quiet confidence isn't about boasting or seeking approval. It's about knowing who you are, what you're capable of, and letting your actions prove your worth. Here's the principle. Confidence without action is just noise, but action without the need for validation, that's power. When you carry yourself with quiet confidence, people notice, not because you're forcing them to, but because they can feel it. Your results, your consistency, your discipline, they speak volumes without you needing to say a word. Think about this in practice. Instead of saying, I'm working on getting in shape, you quietly commit to your workouts and let your transformation do the talking. Instead of announcing your career goals to everyone, you put in the work behind the scenes and let the results show. This approach isn't just effective, it's magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who don't seek validation because it signals self-assurance and independence. Quiet confidence also shows up in how you handle success and failure. When you achieve something, you don't need to brag. You acknowledge it, move forward, and let others recognize your accomplishments on their own. Similarly, when you face setbacks, you don't make excuses or seek pity. You learn from them, adapt, and keep moving. This resilience, demonstrated through action, is far more powerful than any speech you could give. Let's connect this to Stoicism and dark psychology. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions and our effort, while letting go of the need for external validation. Quiet confidence embodies this principle because it's rooted in self-discipline and purpose. Dark psychology reminds us that what's left unsaid often has the most impact. When you move in silence, you create an air of mystery that keeps people intrigued. Imagine this scenario. You're at work and a colleague achieves something minor but spends the next hour talking about it. Meanwhile, you've been working diligently on a bigger project, and when it's finally completed, you don't make a big deal about it. Instead, you let the quality of your work speak for itself. Who do you think earns more respect in the long run? The answer is clear: the person who lets their actions shine without demanding recognition. So how do you cultivate quiet confidence? Start by setting clear goals and working on them consistently without broadcasting your progress. Focus on building habits and skills that improve your life and keep your victories private until they're undeniable. When you do share, let it come from a place of strength, not a need for validation. Here's a challenge for you. Think about one area of your life where you've been seeking external recognition. Shift your focus inward. Start working silently and let your actions do the talking. And when the results come, let them speak for themselves. If you're ready to embrace quiet confidence in your life, drop this phrase in the comments: "My actions speak, my confidence is silent." This is your declaration of independence from external validation. If you're finding these silent actions transformative, hit that like button and share this video with someone who could use a reminder that true power doesn't need to shout, it simply exists. And stay with me, because next we're diving into the final silent action that ties everything together. Number 10. Gratitude without overexpression. We've reached the final silent action that ties everything together: gratitude without overexpression. Gratitude is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have because it shows that you're grounded, present, and aware of the value in your life. But here's the twist. When you express gratitude in a measured, intentional way, it becomes a quiet force that enhances your strength and draws others toward you. Here's the thing about gratitude. Most people either neglect it entirely or overdo it to the point of sounding insincere. True gratitude isn't about grand speeches or endless thank yous. It's about small, meaningful acknowledgements that show you recognize and appreciate the good in your life. When done right, this subtle approach not only makes you more grounded, but also makes people feel valued in a way they'll never forget. For example, imagine someone does something kind for you. Most people might go overboard, showering them with exaggerated praise, or trying to reciprocate immediately out of obligation. A man who practices gratitude without overexpression, however, simply looks them in the eye and says, "Thank you, I appreciate that." No fluff, no excess, just a genuine moment of acknowledgement. This simplicity makes your gratitude feel more sincere and, in turn, more impactful. Now let's talk about why this works. Gratitude, when expressed subtly, shows emotional maturity. It demonstrates that you're confident enough in yourself to acknowledge the help or kindness of others without feeling diminished. On the flip side, overexpressing gratitude can make you seem desperate for approval. By keeping it measured, you maintain your strength and composure while still showing appreciation. Here's another layer. Gratitude isn't just about what you say, it's about how you live. A man who quietly appreciates the small things, a sunrise, a challenging workout, a meaningful conversation, radiates a kind of calm contentment that others find magnetic. This doesn't mean you need to announce your gratitude for every little thing. Instead, let it show through your actions. Take care of the things you value, express kindness when it's deserved, and live in a way that reflects your appreciation for the opportunities you've been given. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and to find joy in the simple things. Practicing gratitude without overexpression embodies this philosophy. You're not chasing external rewards or validation. You're grounded in the awareness that everything you need is already within your grasp. Dark psychology adds another layer. Subtle gratitude creates intrigue. When you don't overdo it, people are left wondering about the depth of your thoughts and feelings. Let me give you a practical scenario. Imagine you're on a date and she compliments something about you, your style, your energy, your presence. Most men would either brush it off awkwardly or overplay their reaction, trying to seem humble or charming. You, on the other hand, simply smile and say, "Thank you, I appreciate that." Then you shift the focus back to her. That quiet acknowledgement paired with composure leaves a lasting impression. Here's a challenge for you. Start practicing gratitude in a way that feels natural and intentional. The next time someone does something kind for you, pause before responding. Take a moment to genuinely feel gratitude, then express it in a calm and composed way. Notice how this changes the dynamic of your interactions. And now, I want you to make a declaration. If you're ready to practice gratitude as a quiet force in your life, drop this phrase in the comments. I live with gratitude. My strength is in my presence. This is your commitment to grounding yourself in appreciation without losing your composure. If you found value in these silent actions, hit that like button and share this video with someone who could benefit from the power of quiet strength. And before we wrap up, make sure you subscribe to Stoic Blessing and turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson like this. You are now equipped with 10 silent actions to transform how women value you and how the world perceives you. Your silent power begins now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.